Okay, all praise, glory, and honor is most certainly due to the Most High, the God of patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Peace to you in the name of his son, Jesus. I count it truly a blessing each and single time that I can come before you to preach the word and never do a kind of as a light thing to do so. And today's lesson is entitled The Lost Books of the Bible, Part 1. I just want to touch upon briefly this subject because this comes up. It came up in the question and answer session after the Sabbath service, the most recent Sabbath service that we had. And it was a question about lost books. And the thing about that is that the Bible certainly mentions lost books or books that you don't have in this particular canon. Nevertheless, what we're going to do, there are many pseudo books or pseudo false writings. Some of these now, the ones I'm going to mention are the ones mentioned by the actual scriptures, but just so happen that they're not in the canon. So peace to everybody that's listening. So what I want to do is touch upon some of these because they are legitimate, but they're not here. And then we want to get to the point of it all. Okay. Joshua, the 10th chapter, let's pick it up at verse 13. And here's an example here. And we see the acts of the things that took place in Joshua's days, but it says something here that if you're really not paying attention, you might, you know how oftentimes the Bible is so vast that you can, and it's so distinct and different from Western culture and history, because a lot of people, it's the Bible. It's not, we are a biblically illiterate society. So sometimes when people try to read the Bible, they just read over things and miss things like this here. This is Joshua, the 10th chapter, verse 13. It says, and the sun stood still and the moon stayed until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Okay. So again, this is telling about a particular event, but then it says, is not this written in the book of Jasher? So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven and hasted not to go down about a whole day. Wait a minute. Genesis to Revelation, these 66 books, you won't find a book called Jasher. That doesn't mean the book Jasher there is a book that was written again, Jasher, that is stated or indicated by what's written in Joshua. Okay, let's look at another example or the same example. Let's go to 2 Samuel. And we're going to pick it up in the first verse. Again, peace to everybody that's listening. Brother Nicodemus, Janez, Sister Mary, Brother Noel, and Azaria. Peace to you. Or Azariah. I'm not sure which way you pronounce it. I heard people pronounce it both ways. But peace to you. This is 2 Samuel, the first chapter, and verse 17. It says, and David lamented with this lamentation over Saul and over Jonathan, his son. Okay, so this is after the death of Saul and his son, Jonathan. And it says also, he bade them teach the children of Judah the use of the bow. Behold, it is written in the book of Jasher. So again, you had this book written, but again, it's nowhere in the canon do we see it. Okay, let's go to another example. Let's go to Numbers. Numbers, the 21st chapter. I'm not going to keep you long. Numbers, the 21st chapter. And let's pick it up at verse 14, because here we see an example. It says of an event. Numbers mentions another book. It says, wherefore it is, in Numbers 21 and 14, it says, wherefore it is said in the book of the wars of the Lord, what he did in the Red Sea and in the brooks of Arnon. So you can read about what he did, and what happened at the Red Sea and the Exodus and when they left. You read it in Torah, the books that we have, but it's also written in the book of the wars of the Lord. But again, we don't have that. Let's go to 2 Timothy. And let's look at a reference to another event that is mentioned in the New Testament. This is 2 Timothy. 2 Timothy, the second chapter. 2 Timothy, the second chapter, and I want to pick it up at verse 2 Timothy, the second chapter. Give me 1 second. And let's pick it up in, hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second. Did I say 2 Timothy? That might be 2 Timothy, the third chapter. Excuse me. 2 Timothy, the third chapter, verse 8. It says, "Now as Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds reprobate concerning the faith." Okay, now you read about the resistance that Moses faced, like, for example, in the 7th chapter of Exodus. It says in verse 11, "Then Pharaoh also called the wise men and sorcerers, now the magicians of Egypt. They also did in like manner with their enchantments." Okay, so you can read that here, but it's calling people by a specific name here that you're not privy to. So how did Paul know their names? Perhaps there was another writing. You understand? So that the Bible is, and there are so many, particularly associated. Let's go to another place. Let's go to First Chronicles. Let's go to First Chronicles. And we're going to pick it up at First Chronicles. Peace to you, Brother Isaiah. It's good to see you there, brother. First Chronicles, 29th chapter. And we'll pick it up at verse 29. And listen to what it says. It says, "Now the acts of David the king, first and last, behold, they are written in the book of Samuel the seer." Okay. It says, "And in the book of Nathan the prophet, and in the book of Gad the seer." So wait a minute. We have some other books here. And this is all over the Bible. There are many references to other writings found in this text. Okay, many. Particularly, for example, when we hear about kings. We don't have the book of Nathan. We don't have the book of Gad. Let's go to 1 Kings, the 11th chapter. I'm almost finished. 1 Kings, the 11th chapter. If you look at this in any amount, you'll see there are a lot of books that simply we don't have. 1 Kings, the 11th chapter, verse 41. It says, "And the rest of the acts of Solomon and all that he did and his wisdom, are they not written in the book of the acts of Solomon?" So there are some other books, brothers and sisters, no question. But now, even pertaining to the Messiah, now we have, of course, he came in the volume of the book, and we have all of these we have the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Again, the prophets foretold of him. You see what the apostles did in the other New Testament writings, where they attest to his existence and what he did. But even in all that, we don't have everything. This is John, the 20th chapter, and verse 30. It says, "And many other signs truly did Jesus in the presence of his disciples, which are not written in this book." So wait a minute. So John is telling you he did many things that were not even recorded. The most significant person to ever walk this earth, he said, listen, it says, "And many other signs truly did Jesus in the presence of his disciples, which are not written in this book." They saw more than what was recorded. He says, listen to what he says, though. He said, "But these are written," what was written down, "but these are written that ye might believe that Jesus is the Christ." And that's ultimately where your focus needs to be in. Who is he? And are you following him? Do you believe and understand who he is and what he's done for you and the sacrifice of himself? "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believe in him should not perish, but have everlasting life." So again, do you believe on him based on what's written? On what you do have. So that's one criteria of a saint, that you believe that he's the Christ. And then, of course, when you believe, you are baptized in his name. So it says, "But these are written that you might believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that believing ye might have life through his name." So again, a lot of things you don't even have. We're gonna stay at John, and we're gonna pick it up in verse chapter 21, and just pick it up in verse 24, 21 and 24. We're gonna read right into it. It says, "This is the disciple which testifies of these things and wrote these things, and we know that his testimony is true. And there are also many other things which Jesus did, the which," listen to what he says here, "did. There are also many other things which Jesus did, the which, if they should be written, every one, I suppose that even the world itself could not contain the books that should be written." Amen. So there are a lot of things that he did again that were not written. So much so, because people talk about lost books, it's so much that's not recorded. He said if it was written down, the books couldn't contain. The earth could contain rather all that he's done. It was written down by books. Is that hyperbole, or it's just me a lot that he didn't do, that he didn't write down? That he did that were not written down. This is the last place. Let's go to Ecclesiastes. So we don't need to understand who he is. That's so we don't want to get lost and think, well, all these other books, you going here, you going there, you going everywhere, but you missing the point. You have enough right now. People don't understand the books that we have. The books that can't be verified. You can't, and legitimated. People can't understand this. But now, this is Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter. Brothers, I was just thinking about this today, brothers and sisters, about how deep of a well the word of God is to draw from. I'm talking about what we have right here. It's so deep, and it's always something to learn. It's a lifetime of learning here. But what you want to do is get the essence of a thing. This is Ecclesiastes, this last place, the 12th chapter. Ecclesiastes 12 and 12. And here, that wise King Solomon tells us something. He says in verse 12, and further by these, my son, be admonished. Okay, well, take heed to what he's saying. He says, of making many books, there is no end. So you could be reading. I'm here, I'm there, and everywhere, and not really getting the essence of a thing, not really truly understanding. He says, of making many books, there is no end, and much study is a weariness of the flesh. So sometimes it could be an exercise in futility if you don't understand. He said, let us hit the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments. So what do you got, listen, understand. And let's just show you why this is important. He said, fear God and keep his commandments. And we're going to hold our finger there, and we're going to go to Revelation. Because I've talked about what makes somebody a saint. This is Revelation, the 14th chapter, and verse 12. It says, here's the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. And that's what this should be. When you read, that's what should be pointing you to. It should be pointing you to that the Messiah, the one that we call Jesus, that one, he is the Messiah, but also that you have to be obedient. That's what you should be getting. And let's say, the Bible says, you're getting, get understanding. That's what you should be drawing from the word. That's what you should come away with. Ultimately, is that he is the Messiah, that he died for your sins, and that you have to be obedient unto what thus saith the Lord, unto Torah, unto what's written. You need to couple the two. I'm going to read it again, because sometimes people have one without the other, and you are insufficient. Here's the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. Some just believe, but the Bible tells you the devils believe and tremble. Some say, I'm going to keep the law, but the Bible tells you all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. You need both. Again, here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. So back to Ecclesiastes 12 and 12, it says, and further by these, my son, be admonished. Of making many books, there is no end, and much study is a weariness of the flesh. Let us at the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments. Again, you have to couple those two, your belief and obedience. He said, for this is the whole duty of man. If you've ever wondered what you're supposed to be doing on this earth, brothers and sisters, you have gifts and talents that are embedded within you as an individual that are unique to you. They are inside of you. Education is the process of pulling that out of you. Something that's already in you. That's what education is supposed to do. It's supposed to lead you unto yourself. Self-understanding, ultimately. That's what educator means, to pull out. That's what again, it's already in you. The educator is supposed to show you that. That's personal. But then there is a universal duty that is general, which is obedience unto a creator of us all. And the creation shows us, brothers and sisters, that there is a God. That's why when you read in Psalms the 19th division, you read about him being evidenced through the creation, and then it goes right into talking about his law. Once you understand that there is a God, you should understand, or there's a creator, you should understand that there's one we need to bring ourselves into subjection to. Let us, at the conclusion of the whole matter, fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. And he tells you why. He's going to give you the consequences. He says, for God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. You're going to be held in judgment. And the question is, will you be seen as righteous before the Father? Since all have sinned, nobody can do it on their own merit. Therefore, you need the Messiah. You need that blood as an atonement. That's the only way you're going to be justified. And once you are justified, you walk on in newness of life. See, that's what the book, as when people always talking about some other books, but that's what the book should be leading you to. And when you understand, you got what you need. And with that, brothers and sisters, I want to remind you that we're at the Household of Faith. We meet every Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're open. We meet every Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. We live stream right here on the Israel Teach YouTube channel. If you're not in the Chicagoland or Northwest Indiana area, again, we live stream every Sabbath, which is Saturday, at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. All praise to the Most High, brother Isaiah. And we also live stream on our website, www.israelteach.org. Again, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. We live stream right here on our Israel Teach YouTube channel, as well as at www.israelteach.org. We also have Bible study every Friday night on Zoom. Bible study every Friday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Again, we have a Bible study every Friday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on Zoom. If you like to participate in that Bible study, you have questions, or you just want to hear, or you want a fellowship, the personal meeting ID number for that 8 p.m. Friday night Bible study on Zoom is 602-961-1318. Again, that number is 602-961-1318. Also, if you've been edified through the ministry and would like to leave a donation, you can do so on our website. All praise to the Most High, brother. You can do so on our website. If you would like to leave a donation, go to our website, www.israelteach.org. 100% of the proceeds go to the work of the ministry. Again, that's israelteach.org. And finally, there are books that I've written that are available on Amazon and other places like Barnes and Noble, and other places where books are sold. Into Egypt Again with Ships, Killing Black Innocents, the program to control African American reproduction from slavery's end to the present day self-inflicted genocide. Yes, all praise to the Most High. Taylor. The pagan origins of Christian holidays. Hair like wool, feet like burned brass, the color of Jesus, and burning truths concerning the Messiah. Latest 2 books, For Then Shall Be Great Tribulation and In Defense of Biblical Polygyny. All these books are available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and other places where books are sold. So close to 25,000 of them so thus far. And thank the Lord for that. And there will be more to come. And with that, brothers and sisters, it is always my prayer that you were edified.